In an old boarding school for girls, from time to time, stories experienced by older students would surface. Most of them were just made up, but the one I'm about to tell is the only true story out of all the ones I've heard. I must have been 14 at the time. We were in the classroom during a break on a day that seemed like any other. That's when Amanda, one of the students who was about to leave the boarding school because she was turning 18, called everyone to a corner of the room, saying she had a story to tell. Sensing what it was about, everyone gathered around her. I stayed seated in my spot because I was tired of hearing so much nonsense. Noticing that I was the only one who didn't go to listen to her story, Amanda came over to me, followed by all the other girls. "Hey Brenda, don't you want to hear what I have to say?" she asked. "Sorry, but no thanks. I'm tired of these pointless stories." "Pointless? This time, the story is true." "Like all the others that were also true," I shot back. "You doubt me? Then listen and draw your own conclusions because the body is still here." "Body?" the girls asked in unison. Ignoring the chorus behind her and focusing her green eyes on me, she began. "This story happened a few years ago. It was when I first came here. A girl, Anne, would disrespect and sometimes even hit the women who took care of the boarding school. She thought everything she did would go unpunished. But it didn't. One day, the principal got tired of her behavior. She grabbed the girl, who was in the classroom, and locked her in the bathroom, saying she would only come out when she learned her lesson. Anne screamed endlessly for help, but the principal stopped anyone who tried to help her. I even tried, but she said this was the punishment Anne deserved for mistreating the people who cared for her. We all waited by the bathroom door, expecting the principal to let her out, but she didn't. Night fell, and everyone was forced to return to the dorms. During the night, I heard a noise that sounded like thunder echoing through the school's hallways. Since there was no sign of rain, I got up and tried to find where the noise was coming from. As I walked through the dark hallways, the noise echoed again, coming from our classroom. Slowly, I went there and saw the bathroom door open, with no one guarding it. Maybe Anne had escaped. Cautiously, I entered the bathroom, but I didn't see anyone there, not even Anne. As I was about to leave, something started dripping from the door of the last stall. More terrified than ever, I walked over to it. But that's when I saw something I never wanted to see. Anne, sitting on the toilet, with a hole in her head and another in her chest. Someone had gone in there and shot her, intentionally. Terrified, I ran out of the bathroom, holding back a scream of despair. As I ran toward the dorms, I saw the principal quickly leaving the teacher's bathroom, carrying a strange silver object. Trying to control my nerves, I followed her to her office. She left the door slightly open, so I could see her putting the object away. Under the light of the fireplace, I could see what it was. A gun, stained with blood. Stunned, I went back to my room, not knowing what to do. Turn the principal into the police? Impossible. She'd catch me before I could. Tell someone, but who if everyone was loyal to her? With no answers, I decided to try to sleep again. A few hours later, I was woken up by endless screams. I got up and went to the only place they could be coming from, the bathroom in our classroom. There, several classmates were crying over what they had seen, and the principal was saying she didn't know how such a barbaric act could have happened. She told everyone to go back to their rooms while she removed Anne's body, but that's not what she did. I hid, wanting to see what she would do. The principal simply locked the bathroom and asked one of the staff to cover the door with boards and the same wallpaper as the rest of the room, so it would blend in perfectly. All the girls were impressed by the story she had just told. She stopped staring at me and went to a corner of the room where she tore off the wallpaper with a small pocket knife. Then she said, "And this is where her body is, trapped in what was once a bathroom. Because of the death she suffered, her spirit must still be here, thirsty for revenge against anyone who dares to free her." The room fell silent. Everyone exchanged glances, but no one dared to breathe. Then Amanda turned to me again and asked, "So Brenda, isn't my story true?" I didn't answer. I got up and walked over to where she was. I stopped in front of the door and examined it. Like the rest of the school's foundation, the boards hiding the door were rotten, and just one kick was more than enough to break them. So let's do this, Amanda. What if I go into that bathroom and prove to everyone that your true story is faker than a $3 bill? Honestly, I don't want you to do that. The terror I felt seeing her like that was enough. And besides, you might release a spirit that could try to kill us all. Oh, please, are you scared now? I am. And if you know what's good for you, you wouldn't do it. I gave Amanda a disapproving look. After all, what was there to be afraid of, since this was probably just another one of her tall tales? But all the other girls seemed to believe her, looking terrified. Tired of the tension, I kicked the boards with all my strength. I thought I'd only break them, but I didn't expect the door to be worse off than the boards, as it broke too. The smell that came out was horrible, unbearable. But since I had gone this far, I wasn't going to back down. Covering my nose with my uniform sleeve, I stepped into the hole, with no light, completely filthy, and threatening to collapse. It was just a shadow of what had once been a bathroom. The window had been cemented shut to isolate the bathroom and keep it hidden from new students. Guided only by the light coming through the hole I had entered, I slowly made my way to the stall where Anne was supposedly lying. The closer I got to the last stall, the stronger the smell became. When I stopped in front of the stall, there was nothing. It was empty. As I turned to leave and prove my point, all the lights in the bathroom turned on. Having gotten used to the darkness, the lights burned my eyes, blinding me for a few moments. When my vision returned, that's when it happened. I felt a strange presence behind me. The bathroom wall was black, and something was dripping from the stall where Anne should have been. Hesitant and a little scared, I turned back to the stall, now closed. I opened it and saw the most terrifying sight of my life. After all these years, Anne's body looked intact, even with the bullet holes. Holding back a scream to avoid proving Amanda right, I closed the stall again, but it abruptly opened, or rather, someone opened it. Anne's body began to slowly move toward me, but I ran for the exit. Unfortunately, it was no longer there. It was as if I had gone back in time, and the bathroom was exactly as it had been that day. I started banging on the door and screaming for help, but no one answered. Meanwhile, Anne kept coming toward me. Desperate, I thought about fighting her, but that was impossible. She was undead, and I was just a girl. As I prepared for a painful end, she simply whispered in my ear, "Thank you." My memories of those moments inside came rushing back too fast, making them impossible to control, and I fainted. I woke up sometime later in the classroom, but with a small surprise. 2 bodies were hanging from ropes on the ceiling, Amanda and the principal. To top it off, there was a message on the board, written in blood. "This is only the beginning." Terrified, I ran out of the boarding school toward the town. I never wanted to go back there. After hours of running alone on a deserted road, I saw someone coming. Exhausted from running for so long, I fainted before I could recognize who it was. A few hours later, I woke up in a beautiful bed, in what looked like a luxury hotel. "So you're awake, my granddaughter?" he asked. I couldn't hide my happiness at recognizing his voice. It was my grandfather, who had come to visit me at the boarding school. Curious, he asked me why I was running toward the town. I told him the whole story, and he seemed to believe me. He said he was going to the boarding school to take me to live with him because he didn't think my parents should have put me in a place like that. He also said he didn't know where I was, which is why he never visited. In fact, he said if he had known I was there from the beginning, he would have come to get me a long time ago. A few days after escaping the boarding school, I read a disturbing news headline: "Massacre at boarding school." The police said they didn't know who or how someone could have killed over 40 people by hanging them on the same day. But I knew who it was. Anne. She had finally gotten her revenge. It's been 4 years now. My grandfather and I left that town and moved as far away as possible. But since that day, something has been following me. And right now, she might be here, or with whoever is listening to this story. If you enjoyed this story, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel for more stories like this. Want to share your story with me? Send me an email at the address in the first comment. I'll see you in the next video, right here, on The Secret Channel.